President, I thank the Honourable Brian Walker for this thought-provoking motion. One Nation believes in a democracy driven by the people, essentially preserving the freedoms of Western Australia. The voice referendum's been mentioned a couple of times, and that's a great example of when a referendum is needed and can work well. When the voting public can be engaged and informed on a specific question, referendums are probably the ultimate way, the ultimate democracy. I mean, some countries frequent referenda, such as Switzerland. In Switzerland, is one of the oldest continuously functioning democracies in the world, and has a system where citizens can initiate a referenda that their governments then need to comply with. I think it's something like 50,000 people they need to petition with to actually initiate that referendum. So, there is, I think, a possibility in the future in Australia, although our culture here is very different. Switzerland has a very different political culture, with cantons, which would be the equivalent to our local government, here maintaining significant powers. Switzerland have a localised and engaged political culture, which has evolved over a long period of time. We don't have that same political culture here in Australia. It's often the voting public here are very cynical and disengaged. I'm sure many of the people here today have seen out in public where rolling up at voting booths, and that many people are they're not interested in politics, and they feel a bit offended that they even have to turn up to vote. So that is a little bit of a different culture here in Australia. And democracy only works well if people are informed and engaged. So we know that's not what our culture here is in Australia. I think the danger of having too many referendums in the population will get fatigued by having them. As it is, when we have a couple of elections close together, people already are saying that, another, an election. So I think if we're having too many referendums, that would be very fatiguing for the people, and especially not a lot of people interested to start with. So, and I mean, this is what the job of Parliament is for, especially the Legislative Council. We have been elected to research, understand and make decisions on behalf of the voters, and that's what we go to elections for, that we're here to do that. We are here researching the information and making the decisions based on that, on an educated opinion, whereas a lot of people out in the public don't often pay a lot of attention. So if everyone just jumps in there and votes, it's going to be a skewed outcome. I'm raising these points because I think there's a danger. There's a danger of too many referendums could result in special interest groups. We've seen it with, wealthy people, with people with power. There's going to be a lot of influence there. If you've got a lot of money or, a big reach or an ability to advertise, then you're able to sort of indoctrinate people's minds in a different way, and that's not what I think I want for people in this country, where the rich have a bigger ability to influence the outcomes of what happens in this place. We see that in elections now with advertising. Small parties like One Nation have very little resources, and I think, a lot of our policies and what we stand for, if we had anywhere near the funding that the major parties have, we would do a lot better in getting people elected. So I think that is a big problem with it. But that's not to say we shouldn't investigate it and really discuss and debate the topic, in more depth as we go along. If referendums become more common in Australia, one vital thing we'd have to consider is the cost. It's been mentioned here, I think by one of the members, or maybe a couple of members, about the big cost. We've still got to look out for the cost for the people. We're making decisions here with other people's money and for the taxpayer. So, it's democracy is great, but we've got to, I believe in the democracy we have, that we have been elected here to make them decisions, and I'm not sure that referendums and spending all that money is the best use of taxpayer money doing so. So we had an Australian tech entrepreneur, Nathan Spataro, who outlined to our team, for instance, that he's got a patented blockchain voting platform. This technology and other similar blockchain backed election software could, become more used and could deliver, a lot more transparency, secure and affordable referendums in the future. It's something that's likely to happen. The way we're going in technology, we're moving in that direction. I don't know a lot about blockchain myself. I started to look into it, but it seems to be popping up more and more, and I can imagine that's going to be used more in our political system in the future anyway. We should be aware of the upsides and downsides of adopting such technology in an impartial and critical way. For instance, online elections could significantly reduce the burden on the taxpayer of holding elections and referendums. Like I say, I don't know. This is just a debate that's been something interesting. I've only started looking into it, so it's something I believe I'm going to look into more, and I think we all should be doing that. These kind of blockchain election systems could make statewide referendum efficient, accessible, empowering to communities from Kalgoorlie to Karratha. Blockchains enable scalability. It could handle millions of votes. This is just some of the information, and to open up, people's minds to look into it more, because it's been brought up by the Honourable Brian Walker. I think it's a great motion to start talking about giving the people more say in what we do here, but at the same time, like I said previously, that we don't want to start allowing people that have all the money in this country, and we've seen that, I believe, in the teal sort of movement and that, where there's a lot of money being donated. Whether people were believing that they're the right option or not, the disproportionate amount of money being put into certain seats for certain candidates from people I believe have a vested interest, and that can have a big influence on the outcome of the future of our country. After the frustrations of our last election, I imagine, if we could get some system like whether the blockchain, the online systems, it may give restore some confidence and that back in the democracy of West Australians, especially because we've seen what happened in this last election. There was a lot of issues being brought up with, running out of voting papers, wrong information being given inside the voting booths and stuff. So, I think with partnerships with local tech companies, we would boost our own economy while allowing Western Australia to be a model for the world. So I think it's talked about often in here. I've seen it when I've watched before about wanting to lead the world in what we do. And this could be another, something that we could in Western Australia start to look at and discuss more, if there's some way that we could make the process better. I'm new to the chamber and fairly new to politics, in the sense of I think we already have a good democracy. I believe in it, but we're here to always make improvements on these things. So, there's a well-known quote from Stalin: "People who cast their votes decide nothing. The people who count their votes decide everything." Is addressed if all voters are counting votes, which is what blockchain technology is capable of delivering. So, what we want to avoid is referendums that they don't get abused. I've spoken about that with special interest, with people with money, and so we don't want that happening. It's an evolving, exciting area of modern politics, I think, and we'd do very well to stay abreast to the opportunities and risks that frequent referendums could present in significant detail. So in summary, I find this motion very interesting. I can't support it fully in its current form due to the things I've said, but I think we should you know, definitely be all looking into these things more in the future. And I think